Hey there, homebuyer. Ever move into a house and found out something weird, like the backyard turns into a swamp every time it rains? Or the neighbor casually mentions, yeah, the last owners, they barely ever stayed in the house because they thought it was haunted. That's why they sold. Yeah, fun stuff for sure. Today I'm going to discuss the 5 shocking facts that sellers do not have to tell you when they list their home for sale. By the end, you're going to be side-eyeing every listing, wondering, what aren't they telling me? Let's start with what sellers do have to disclose, and it's actually a pretty short list. Florida law requires that the seller of a home disclose to the buyer all known facts that are not readily observable to the eye that would materially affect the value of the property. This requirement applies even if the buyer did not ask the seller if they knew about the defects. Sellers still must disclose. This comes from the court case Johnson versus Davis. It sounds fancy, but it just means if your roof is leaking, you just can't pretend like it's raining inside. You must disclose. Every time you plug in an appliance or your hairdryer and sparks fly, must disclose. Got an insect infestation? You must disclose. And if there's mold behind that drywall, you must disclose. But there are some wild things that sellers are legally not obligated to tell you, and they might just blow your mind. Shocking fact number 1, a death in the house is not disclosable. Florida law does not require a seller tell you if somebody has passed in the house. Peaceful passing, don't have to tell you. Violent crime, don't have to tell you. Murder, don't have to tell you. However it is that somebody came to pass at the house, the sellers are not required to tell you. Now you can ask, but they don't have to answer. If this stuff really matters to you, I recommend that you Google the address and see if anything comes up. Normally you would only see something there if it was like a violent crime or a murder, but you won't normally see something where if a person peacefully passed. Shocking fact number 2, haunted houses. Yep, you heard me right. If you believe the house to be haunted, cursed, or haunted by the ghost of bad decisions, the sellers are not required to disclose that. Florida law considers perceived paranormal activity to be not a material fact. So if you don't want your guests leaving salt lines around the windows like an episode of Supernatural, you better ask. Shocking fact number 3, flooding. Now this used to be a secret. Until October 1st, 2024, sellers were not required to disclose flooding. Now let that sink in. Yes, pun intended. With the new disclosure requirement, October of 2024, sellers are required to let you know if the house has ever flooded or if they've ever filed an insurance claim or received any kind of assistance for flooding. This paperwork should be given to you before you make an offer on the house or at the time of making an offer so that you can make an informed decision. Sellers are not required to tell you what the potential for flooding could be of that property in the future because they are not mind readers. Now, the whole state of Florida is rated for flood. If you are buying a home in a high-risk area and you have a lender, they are going to require that you do buy flood insurance, and that is going to be expensive. Shocking fact number 4, adjacent property facts. Let's say you're looking to buy a home in an area where there is no HOA, and you're standing outside the home and you say to yourself, I wonder what's going on with that neighbor across the street. What are they doing with that land or that house? Or you might be thinking, I saw there was something going on down the road. I wonder what they're building or what they're doing with that area. The seller of the property that you are looking to purchase is not required to know what is going on with the neighbors or what is going on with the city or county. Information about the adjacent property owners or zoning in that area can be found through public records. Here you will find information on property deeds, zoning maps, or court records. Want to know if there's any new development planned around you or being applied for? Contact the zoning office. If you're looking to buy in an area where there's an HOA or a condo association and you want to know what's going on in the community or with the neighbors, make sure you contact the local board. Those people would love to tell you everybody's business. Shocking fact number 5, registered sex offenders. Nope, sellers are not required to know of them or disclose them. Now that one really surprises a lot of buyers. In Florida, sellers are not required to know if their next door neighbor or neighbors down the road are sexual offenders. The great news though is you can find this information out on your own. Go to Florida Sexual Offender and Predator Search. Put in the address of the property that you're looking to purchase and see what pops up. Here's a bonus tip for you. If you're looking to purchase in an area with an HOA or a condo association, some of those require that future buyers must be approved through the association. And this may be a good reason why you want to live in a community where there's an HOA or a condo association. Now, here's a few more wild ones that are not required to be disclosed. Drug activity. If there is drug activity on the property, the seller does not have to tell you. They also don't have to disclose past criminal history on the property either. And they also do not have to tell you the medical history of a current or previous resident of the property, like HIV or AIDS. Okay, now that I have you mildly terrified, let's talk about how you protect yourself. First, you want to request a seller disclosure. Now, the seller may verbally give this information to their listing agent. And if they give it to the listing agent, then the listing agent is required to share that information with the buyer's agent or the buyer directly. But how do you protect yourself in that way? So I had a situation where that was the case. We were looking at a property. The buyer said, there's no seller disclosures. I called the listing agent and I said, hey, where are the seller disclosures? She says, well, I don't have them in writing, which you're not required to do. But she said, let me go ahead and give them to you. So at that point, I pulled out a piece of paper and a pen and I wrote down everything the listing agent said. I made sure that I had it in writing, but that's not good enough. What I did was I emailed the listing agent everything that she said, and I said, please confirm that the information I have is accurate as we discussed on the phone, or let me know anything I may have misunderstood or left out. And then I wanted to make sure that's how I covered myself and I covered my buyer. Now, if a seller says, I absolutely don't know anything about the property, I 100% find that hard to believe. And in many cases, one, if you know nothing about the property, I want you to put that in writing, because if I find out later that there's a problem, I'm going to go back to the piece of paper that says you knew nothing about the property, so you didn't know about all of this. The second thing is when a seller says, I don't know of anything, I have never lived in the property, it's always been a rental property, I have never lived there. That sounds great on the surface, but I will tell you, as a property manager and an owner of rental properties, the tenants are the first person to tell you what is wrong with that property. And they do so for two reasons. One, they don't want to get blamed and they want it documented that whatever is wrong, they told you and it's not going to come out of their security deposit. And number two, they want it fixed. So there has never been a situation in any property I've owned or managed for somebody else where the property had zero issues for 1 year or 10 years. Something always comes up. And so that's why I don't believe when they say I've never lived there, it's always been tenant occupied, nothing's ever happened. Something's happened. You are just not telling us. And the next one is when a flipper purchases a property, fixes it up, and then they want to sell it for a profit. And they say, well, I've never lived there. Well, you fix it up, so you can't paint the walls, redo the flooring, change out the roof, maybe put in a new bathroom or a new kitchen, and nothing was ever wrong with the property. So I've always found out when I've worked with flippers, something comes up, and it's not a problem when it comes up. Just say, this is what happened, and here's how we fix it. That looks a lot better and less shady than there's never been anything wrong with the property, because we know that's just not true. The next thing you can do to protect yourself is Google the address. See if anything comes up on that property. The next is you can walk the neighborhood. Neighbors love to talk and they love to share you whatever has happened at that property or with the current seller. Believe me, they will share that information with you. And last, you want to hire a good buyer's agent. Not just any agent, you want a good buyer's agent who knows how to get this information. Buying a home in Florida should be fun and exciting, not full of surprises or murky backyard swamps. Now that you know what sellers don't have to tell you, make sure you ask the right questions, protect your investment, and team up with somebody who's got your back. Yes, that's me. Let me know in the comments which one of these surprised you the most. Was it the ghost stuff? Was it the murder house? Or was it the flooding? Or did you already know all this stuff? If you're looking to buy in Central Florida in the next 2 months or the next 2 years and you want an agent that will have your back, I would love to help. Make sure you scan the QR code or click the link in the comments to schedule a call. No pressure, just conversation. And if you want to laugh a little bit more and hang out with me, make sure you check out the next video. I'll see you there.